Have you ever spent money on brand new spark plugs and ignition coils, only to start your car and hear that same annoying misfire? The car shakes, the engine sounds rough, and you're left wondering, what did I miss? Don't worry, you're not alone. Thousands of drivers face this exact problem every year. And today, we're going to break it down step by step so you know exactly what to check next and how to finally fix that misfire for good. Welcome back to Motor Minds, the channel where we make car problems simple and give you the tools to become smarter about your ride. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button because we post clear, no-nonsense car tips every week. Today's topic is one of the most frustrating situations for DIY car owners. Change spark plugs and coils, but the misfire is still there. Don't panic. We've got you covered. All right, let's dive in. You've already swapped out the spark plugs. You've replaced the ignition coils. And the misfire didn't go away. That means the problem is hiding somewhere else. But where? Let's walk through all the possibilities one by one, in plain English, so you can find the root cause without wasting money on random parts. Start with the basics. Double-check your work. Before we jump into complex problems, let's go back and double-check the basics. Sometimes the misfire sticks around simply because something went wrong during the install. Maybe one of the ignition coil connectors didn't snap in all the way. Maybe a spark plug didn't seat tight enough. Even a small crack in a coil boot can allow spark to escape. So here's your first move. Open the hood, remove each coil, and carefully inspect everything. Look for torn rubber boots, loose connectors, or spark plugs that aren't gapped correctly. Even brand new parts can be defective. I've seen fresh spark plugs right out of the box with hairline cracks in the porcelain. If you find something, fix it now. If everything checks out, it's time to move forward. Okay, so your install looks clean. What's the next suspect? Let's talk about fuel delivery. Check the fuel system. A misfire doesn't always come from spark. Sometimes it comes from fuel. Think of your engine like a barbecue grill. If there's no gas reaching the burners, no flame will stay lit, no matter how good the spark is. Your car needs the right amount of fuel at the right time. If one cylinder isn't getting enough fuel, it will misfire. That can happen because of a clogged fuel injector, a dirty fuel filter, or a weak fuel pump. Here's a quick test. Grab a mechanic's stethoscope or even a long screwdriver, place it against the injector, and listen. A healthy injector makes a clicking sound when it fires. If you hear silence or a weak click, that injector may be clogged. You can also try swapping injectors between cylinders to see if the misfire follows the injector. If it does, bingo, that's your issue. But what if the injectors sound fine? Well, then we need to check the air going into the engine. Look at the air intake system. Engines run on a precise mixture of air and fuel. If that balance gets messed up, misfires happen. Too much air makes the mixture lean. Too little air makes it rich. Either way, the cylinder struggles to burn correctly. So check your air filter first. A clogged filter can starve the engine of air. Next, inspect the intake hoses. Cracks or leaks in the intake system allow unmetered air to sneak in. That confuses the engine computer and throws the mixture off balance. Another sneaky culprit? The mass airflow sensor. If it's dirty or failing, it sends the wrong air readings to the ECU. Cleaning it with proper MAF cleaner often makes a huge difference. All right, we've checked spark, fuel, and air. But there's another piece of the puzzle: engine compression. Test engine compression. Here's where things get serious. If one cylinder doesn't have good compression, it will misfire no matter how perfect the spark and fuel are. Compression is basically the pressure created inside the cylinder when the piston squeezes the air-fuel mixture. Why does compression drop? Maybe you've got worn piston rings, a leaking head gasket, or a burnt valve. These are mechanical issues inside the engine itself. To test this, you need a compression tester. Screw it into the spark plug hole, crank the engine, and read the gauge. If one cylinder shows much lower pressure than the others, that's the troublemaker. Low compression usually means a bigger repair, but at least now you know the root cause. Not sure you're ready to test compression? Don't worry, we've got another trick you can try first. Let's talk about vacuum leaks. Hunt for vacuum leaks. Vacuum leaks are sneaky. They let extra air sneak into the intake manifold. That messes with the fuel-air mixture and often causes a cylinder to misfire. Here's a simple way to test for leaks. With the engine running, spray a little carb cleaner or brake cleaner around the intake manifold, vacuum hoses, and gasket areas. If the engine idle suddenly changes, you found a leak. Be careful and don't overdo it though, safety first. Fixing a vacuum leak might be as simple as replacing a cracked hose or tightening a loose clamp. And sometimes this alone clears up a stubborn misfire. But maybe your hoses look fine. In that case, we need to look at the sensors and electronics that control everything. Scan for trouble codes. Modern cars run on computers. When something goes wrong, sensors usually record a code. That's why an OBD2 scanner is one of the best tools you can own. Plug it in and read the codes. Even if the check engine light isn't flashing, the computer may have stored valuable information. Common codes like P0301, P0302, and so on point to misfires in specific cylinders. But you might also see codes for things like the crankshaft position sensor, camshaft sensor, or oxygen sensors. Any of these can cause a misfire if they send bad data to the ECU. So scan your car, write down the codes, and use them as clues. They often point you directly to the next step. And if the scanner doesn't give you anything useful, then it's time to think about wiring. Inspect the wiring and connectors. Bad wiring can mimic a bad coil or plug. If the wires feeding power to your ignition coils are frayed, corroded, or broken, the spark won't fire consistently. Pop the hood and look at the wiring harnesses going to each coil and injector. Wiggle the connectors gently while the engine is running. If the engine stumbles, you've probably got a bad connection. Cleaning the connectors or replacing damaged wires can solve the misfire. Still no luck? Don't give up. There are a couple more areas to check before throwing in the towel. Check the exhaust system. Believe it or not, a clogged catalytic converter can also cause misfires. If the exhaust gases can't escape properly, the engine struggles to breathe. That extra back pressure can make the mixture burn poorly in certain cylinders. A quick way to test? Take out the front O2 sensor temporarily and see if the misfire improves. If it does, the catalytic converter might be the problem. But only do this test briefly and safely. It's loud and not meant to be a long-term solution. And if your exhaust checks out, the last piece of the puzzle might be software. Don't forget about the ECU. Sometimes the misfire isn't mechanical at all. It's electronic. The ECU, the engine control unit, controls spark timing, fuel injection, and air mixture. If its programming gets corrupted or outdated, it can cause false misfire issues. Dealerships and some repair shops can reflash or update your ECU software. It's not the first thing you should do, but it's worth considering if everything else looks fine. So, to wrap this up, let's go over the SMART game plan. Build a step-by-step checklist. Here's the order I recommend. Number 1. Recheck your spark plugs and coils for installation issues. Number 2. Inspect the fuel system and injectors. Number 3. Check the air intake and mass airflow sensor. Number 4. Test compression if needed. Number 5. Look for vacuum leaks. Number 6. Scan for trouble codes with an OBD2 scanner. Number 7. Inspect wiring and connectors. Number 8. Check the exhaust and catalytic converter. Number 9. Consider an ECU update if all else fails. Follow this checklist step by step instead of guessing. That way you avoid wasting money on random parts. And here's the good news. Even if the problem feels overwhelming, most misfires come from simple issues like a bad injector, vacuum leak, or wiring problem. Start with the easy checks, and you'll usually find the answer. Alright, that's a wrap for today's episode of Motor Minds. If this video helped you understand what to do after changing spark plugs and coils, give it a thumbs up. That really helps the channel grow. Drop a comment below and let us know what fixed your misfire. And of course, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our next round of car tips. And hey, if you want more practical advice right now, check out our other videos. We've got guides on fuel injectors, vacuum leaks, and even how to use an OBD2 scanner like a pro. Thanks for watching Motor Minds. Keep learning, keep wrenching, and keep your car running smooth. See you in the next video.